Hi there, it's Graciela from Power GI on this side of the screen. Welcome to our channel. Some months ago, we released a video talking about how to download files from the web using Power Automate for desktop. However, the tool has changed a lot during the last couple of months. So this is an updated and extended version of that video. We're going to cover two different scenarios. The first one is when your file is downloaded directly once you click on a link or a button. For example, if I go to this web page and I am interested in this monthly long and the category wide files, once I click on them, the download is automatically triggered. So to go over that, the only thing that you need to do is to use the recorder that Power Automate has that is now unified. A couple months ago, we had one recorder for web actions and one recorder for desktop actions. And now we have only one. So the only thing that you have to do when this is the scenario that you're covering is just go to the recorder, and then a new window will show, and then I'm gonna close my browser and then click on these three dots, launch new browser, and finally Chrome. What we're covering here focuses mainly on Chrome. However, all the logic and all the setups that we're gonna see can be applied to Chrome and Firefox and any of the main browsers out there. So let's just go to the website that we're gonna use as example, and then I'm gonna expand this and start recording. So as I was saying, the only thing that you need to do is pretty much record the steps that you would normally do to get to your files. In my case, everything that I have to do is go to this web page and then just click on monthly long and then category wide, and that's it. Once I have recorded or the actions that I need to get to my files, I can click on finish. If you have to do something else, just make sure to click around and do whatever you need to do. If you need to select a date, you can do that. And once you have all the steps that you need, just click on finish. In my case, it's quite simple, so I only have 3 steps. I'm gonna close my browser, and once I execute it, you see it opens the web page, and then I just get this pop-up that happens the first time. You just need to click on allow, and then the file would download, and the next time that you execute it, it's gonna run normally. So make sure to always allow for multiple files from the website. And that's it. You see that now I have these 2 files downloaded in my folders, and it's in my computer now. This will lead us to the next question, that is where will your files be saved and how can you access them using Power Automate? Because most likely you will want them to be saved in a specific location or anything like that. We're going to cover that after we go over the second scenario. So the first one is complete. Now we're going to talk about the second scenario, in which we have a PDF file and the browser opens the file in a document reader. So we have to click on an additional button to download our files. An example of this is this web page that we're looking at. We have some PDFs here, and if I click on it, it opens the file so I can see it in the browser. So it's not downloaded to my computer directly. I have to take a look at it first, and then if I want to, it will download the file if I use this button. So this is happening because that's the setup that I have for my browser. And that's actually the default setup for most of browsers, but we can change it. If we want this file to behave in a way that once we click on the link to a PDF file, it downloads directly, so we don't have to see this document reader, we can set it up. So for Chrome, the steps are go to the settings, and then I'm just gonna search here PDF, and then site settings, and then additional content settings. And here I have the setup for PDF documents. You can see that my default is open PDFs in Chrome instead of download PDFs. So if I click on download PDFs, and then I close my browser and open it again, if I click on the same link that we were looking at a couple minutes ago, you see that instead of opening in a document reader, now it's downloading directly, and I can do that as many times as needed. So that's the first way to handle this scenario. However, if your process requires, for some reason, that the file needs to be opened and you really need to click on that download button, then that's a different way that we're gonna see now. I'm gonna go back and put my settings to open the documents. I'm gonna click open, close, and in the meantime, let's get started with a new Power Automate flow. Okay, so the first part to get this done is doing the very same thing that we did for the previous scenario. We just need to record the required steps to get to our files. So I'm just gonna go to the recorder, close my browser, and start a new instance of the browser. In this case, I'm using Chrome. I'm gonna go to the web page that I need, and then I'm gonna start recording. Remember that we need to do the very same thing that we were doing in the previous example. We just need to record every single step that we need to get to our file. In this case, my link is very straightforward, so it gets me directly where I want to go to download the file. If you have to do something else, like put in a date, remember, you can do it. Just make sure to record every single step. And then once we get to our file, we click on it and it opens. So you can see that the first click that I did in the web page to get to this document reader was recorded. We have it here, click element on the web page. But when I get to this screen as a single element, you can see here that when I hover over this, it's just the whole thing that it's being recognized as a single element. So it's not recognizing this download icon, this print. If I click on it, nothing happens in my recorder. If I click on this download, nothing happens here in the recorder steps. So that's an issue because it's not allowing me to download. So I will just, for now, go ahead and finish. So I just recorded everything that I need to get to my file, which in this case is super simple. Just go to a web page and then click on a link, and then I will go to this UI automation, because we have seen that this is not recognized as part of the web page by Power Automate. It is recognized as a different element in the UI. So we cannot use any of the browser automation steps. We need to use the UI automation. So I'm going to go UI automation, form filling, and then I'm going to go press button in window. This is going to open a new window in which it will ask me which UI element I want to click. For now, we don't have any UI element. We only have browser elements. So just gonna go ahead and click on add UI element. So I will go to my browser, and you can see that it is still not being recognized. That is because I have two monitors. So when we are recording UI elements, make sure that you have connected only one monitor, because otherwise it's not gonna be recognized properly. So I will go ahead and disconnect my second monitor and just stay in the first one for a moment. So let's go again, add UI element. That's gonna take me to my browser, and you can see that it's properly recognizing all the elements in the web page. Yep. So in this case, what I need to do is to select this download icon as the element that the bot needs to click on. So to do that, we need to click on the icon and then click on control. And that's, as you can see, that will make automatically recognize the download button. So I'm going to go ahead and select and click save. Okay, so now I'm just going to add a wait step between clicking the link and trying to download the file. So I'm going to click on wait, drag it to the canvas and wait for 5 seconds. I have my flow ready and I'm going to click on run. Okay, so now as you can see, the file is being attempted to be downloaded, and this leads us to the next question, which is where will your files be saved? And the answer to this question is it depends on the setup of your browser, because your browser can ask you every time where to download a file, or it can have a default folder where all downloads will go. So for Chrome, where we're gonna see that is if we go to settings and then I search for downloads, and you can see here that I have a default location, but I also have this enabled. So whenever a file is downloaded, I will be defining where it's gonna be saved. So whenever I download anything, it's gonna show this pop-up when asking me where do I wanna save it. And that's gonna happen for every single file. The setup that you need for your process will definitely depend on your specific needs. So now that we know that our browser will ask you every time to define where we want to save the file, we know that we have to record the actions to save it with the pop-up that will show every time. So whenever I click on a download icon or a download link, it's gonna show this window. And I know that I wanna save everything in this invoices folder. So I'm just gonna grab the path, paste it into a notepad, and then add a backslash. And then I'm gonna add a file name test here and then .pdf. So if I use this and paste it into the file name, there is where my file is gonna be saved. So let's go back to Power Automate, click on the recorder, and that it's going to automatically start recognizing everything that we have on the screen. So I will go ahead and copy the path and the file test name, and then put it here into the file name field. Automatically that recognizes whenever I populated it, and then it recognizes an additional click that I did, but I don't need that one, so I'm just gonna delete it, and then just click on the save button. So now my file is saved. As you can see here, it's in the downloads, and then I'm gonna click on finish. That's gonna make my steps come here into Power Automate. I'm gonna move them here and remove some of the comments. I don't need them for now. And you need to keep in mind that Power Automate is super fast when it's doing these actions. So it's gonna click on the download button, and directly after that, it's gonna try to populate the field for the file name. And we know that it takes a couple of seconds for this window to pop up because it needs to download the file. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to UI automation, and then we're gonna select the wait for window action. We're gonna put it right after we click on the download icon because we wanna wait for the window to show up so it can attempt to write the file name. So I'm gonna click on window. I'm gonna click on the window in the window that is for the file name. I'm gonna wait for it to open, and then I'm gonna click on focus window after it opens. So let's click on save. And now I don't want to always save my file name with this name that I have here. What I want to do is I want to save it with the current date time. So I will go to the datetime section. Then I'm going to drag and drop get current date time here. And then it's going to click save. And I want to save this in a specific format. So I'm going to convert that into text. So we're going to go to the text actions and then convert date to text. I go here and I'm going to select the result from the previous variable, which is current date time. And then here, the first option is use in a standard format, but I want to use a custom one that I want to define. It's going to be year, month, and day, and then hours, minutes, and seconds. So click on save, and you can see that this is saved on formatted date time. That's the name of the variable that our result is being saved. So instead of that test name that I inserted when I was doing my recording, I'm going to remove that. And I'm going to add the formatted datetime text that we just generated. And that's going to make that the files are never having the same name. So let's close the browser and try to execute the whole flow again. Yep, so here is an error because it's recognizing double slash. So I'm just going to go ahead and edit my flow, remove them, and then it should be good. Okay, let's hit save, close the browser, execute again. Okay, here we are. It downloaded properly. If I open it, then you can see that is mapping to a file in my local computer. So that covers the first question, how you can handle whenever your browser is going to ask you to define where you want to save every time. Now let's move to the second one, which is it's always going to be saved in the default folder. And we're going to switch to the first flow that we built. And just before running it, I need to change the setup that we defined previously. I'm going to go to the settings and then downloads. And I'm going to disable this option, ask where to save each file before downloading. So I'm going to disable it and I'm going to close it. And just be sure to note what is your default download folder. In my case, it's just the downloads folder that we had. So I'm just going to copy this path and paste it here as well in a notepad. Okay, so we know that the files are going there, and if I am here in the list of files and I order them by date, always the latest file is going to show at the beginning. So I've been downloading a lot of files in the last couple of minutes, and the most recent one always shows at first whenever we are ordering by date modified or by date created. So if we get the list of all the files in the default folder of downloads, and then we just get the first one, if we are ordering the sending by date, we're always going to get the latest one. So that's the second approach that we can use whenever you have a default folder and you want to move that file from the default folder to another folder that you may have, or whatever you may need to have your files whenever they are downloaded. So I'm going to go ahead and open the folder actions and then get files in folder. It's going to ask me which folder you want to get files from, and I know that's my downloads folder. If you have any other defined, that's completely fine. You can just select it from somewhere else. This is just the one that I have for now. And then I'm going to open the advanced options, and then we're going to sort it by creation time. And then we're going to sort it descending because we want the latest one to be at the top. So I'm going to click on save, and it's important to add a little bit of delay between when the files are downloaded and when the files are get from the folder, because if the file is too big, it's gonna click on the link to download the files, but whenever it gets to getting the file from the folder, the file will not be ready yet, so it's not gonna work. So you need to add a delay and know in advance how many seconds or minutes your file can take, and based on that add a delay. In this case, I think that 6 seconds are enough because the files are not big at all. And for the sake of this exercise, we're going to just download one file, not the two of them. So I'm going to click on the file, wait a couple of seconds for the file to be available, and then only when I have waited that amount of time, I'm going to get the files, so the file is ready and we can get the first one. And the next step is we get the file and we want to either move it or copy it somewhere else. That will depend on your specific process, on your specific needs. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the file that we just grabbed from the previous step. So we're going to go to the variables, go to files, and if I open the file section, you see that I only have access to the count, because files is a group of folders. Here we are getting, it's a group of files. We're getting a group of files in a folder. So it's not just one. What we're going to do is we're going to trick Power Automate to always give us just the first one that it found. And since we have ordering this in descending mode, it will always give us the first file first. So I will go ahead and select the first element of the files found in the folder, and then out of the first file I want to get the full name, and that will contain the full path of the file that we should be placing here. And now my destination folder is just gonna be in my documents and then invoices, and then here, depending on your rules and your needs, you're gonna have, if the file exists or not, you can override it or do nothing. So I'm gonna do save. And similarly, if you want to rename your files, you can just go ahead and rename it using the same logic if you want to add the timestamp and all of that. So I will close my browser and let's execute again. But before that, I like to have maximized Windows. So I will go ahead and do it and click on run. Okay, the file is downloaded. It seems like it had finished. So if I go to my invoices and I click and I see the last copied file, the last moved file, you see that it's the one that we just got from the flow. So these are the two ways in which you can handle where you want to save your files. And for now, we are using kind of a fixed path. You know, we always want to save them in the invoices file, but let's suppose that you have one folder that has subfolders, and depending on a value somewhere else in the screen, you want to save it somewhere else. You can always use variables and conditionals to define where you want to save it. But the main logic is that you either define it whenever you are saving the file and you use the recorder to interact with this pop-up screen, or you use the default folder and you move the files around depending on where they should be and where they should come. So that's it for now. We hope that you found this video useful. As you can see, Power Automate has changed a lot compared to the previous video that we did previously, and they had added a lot of new things and features, but they still haven't fixed this browser automation click download link action, because that still can only be used with the automation browser, which we know is not that great because it's based on Explorer. So you need to come up with different ways to download your files from the web, and we hope that this guide is helpful for you. And if that's the case, please make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you so much, and see you next time.